Good morning and welcome back to the channel. And there's loads of comments already on this Sunday morning. Sunday, up with the lark. I think it's time to go for a walk in the park. Hey, hey, hey. It's not such a beautiful day. It's cloudy. Damn. And we're away at Hearts. There's 576 souls. I'll be able to go to Hearts today. And I'm going to give you our team, but let's get through some of the comments. First of all, we're going to talk through some Celtic news this morning. And first was Feed the Bear. He was in nice and early. And oh my goodness, Feed the Bear gets a big shout. Feed the Bear has had a £10 donation to the channel already this morning. And he's also going for 3-1 to Celtic. Now, that's interesting because you have to remember back to last season. Last season, there was one game. Although Tynecastle is a hard ground to go to, over the last 15 games in Edinburgh, Celtic have won 11. But last season, there was a 7-goal thriller when Loris Shankland had a hat-trick, but that couldn't stop Celtic winning 4-3 on the day. So I think it could be a tough game. Under Brendan Rodgers, he's got fond memories of Tynecastle. We've won the league there, had invincible campaign there, and Callum McGregor, he scored that day, the invincible day, and I think it's once a long time ago, you're thinking Hearts are going to give us a good game. They're probably going to sit back again today. They're going to do some long balls. And, we'll talk about the Celtic lineup just once we get some more comments up on there. Angelo from Down Under, he is in the house. What time is it with you, Angelo? It must be early morning again. Get you up, Angelo, because I totally respect the fact that you're up this early in the morning. And there's the first one in with his team. And morning, Baz, Hart, Taylor, Scales, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alistair Johnson, Calmack, Matt O'Reilly, Hatate, Palma, Maida, Keogh. I think the team that picks itself. The team, we're now in a position, thankfully, where we've got everyone back from injury, and the team kind of picks itself. This is our pretty much our strongest 11 as it stands just now, and especially on the wings. I think Luis Palma is the man of the moment. I think he is on form. He's had 3 goals, but one was chopped off. I think he will score again today. I think it's going to be fantastic for him to see how he progresses. Anyway, let's get some more of the comments up before I'll give you my team below. I've given you my team. My team's Hart, Johnson, Carter-Vickers, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, Maida, and Keogh up front with Palma and on the other wing. And I think that team pretty much picks itself. I think anybody tries to come in and do anything just now, it's going to take a lot to knock Cameron Carter-Vickers out. We'll talk about him in a minute, but Liam Scales, he's been the man on form at the back for us this whole season so far. And it's going to be a case of he needs to keep up his consistency. Even Brendan Rodgers said that. So let's get to more of the comments before I give you some more Celtic news. Martin Kay says morning. Tam Max says morning. Graham Hardy says morning. Martin Kay's going for 4-1 Celtic. Good morning from Adapt Tenerife, said Richard. Do you know, it's pretty cloudy here this morning as well. I think we're getting the tail end of the storm that hit over UK and the top of Spain and France and everything. Sarah is in the house, and I have Hearts managed to sell their tickets. Absolutely shocking. I've no idea. It's going to be interesting today once we all switch the telly on and see that fans behind the goals in that little corner, the Celtic fans, and then we'll soon see. Patrick Toner, hail, boys and girls from Belfast. There are different heads wouldn't take a ticket. Yeah, they're after heads wouldn't take a ticket. Angelo, girls are playing second top table clash today. Hail, Paul McCune. Morning, Baz. This is Ali Jones. But Dom says, I'm going to try and jump through as many of these. 4 p.m. Well, that's not too bad then. That's not too bad. 4 p.m. in the afternoon. You've had your day. It's almost beer time for you. It's almost beer time. The time the game comes along, it'll be beer o'clock. It'll be beer o'clock for a lot of people here as well. Score is going to be 3-0. Hearts will be broken. Tynecastle is a happy place for Brendan. Yep, is that 3 points today, a good win. Sunny Saltcoats. It's not Sunny and Saltcoats. Is it 5-0? Sean's going for 5-0. Beautiful morning from Coatbridge says, Jim, right. Big shout out to Feed the Bear, who did drop a £10 the channel and got well noticed this morning. Hope Palmer scores from a free kick today. So do I. Right, let's talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers first of all, because obviously he played for the United States during the international break. It was a call-up, let's face it, that a lot of people didn't think would happen due to the fact that he had been out injured for such a long time with his hamstring, and before that he had been out with his little operation on his knee. But getting game time for the United States will only benefit Celtic, if you ask me. Carter, he did pick up that injury at the start of the season, and he managed to play 25 minutes or so against Lazio a few weeks ago. So I think the fact that getting him back is going to be brilliant for Liam Scales. Having that rock back at the back of defence. And let's face it, everyone thought that Rocky was going to be the one to partnership him. But Liam Scales has done it. Played 43 minutes in 2 games combined against Germany and Ghana. So he just got a little bit of game time just to keep his fitness up, which is what you really want. And Cameron Carter-Vickers is an immense player for Celtic. And it's one player that I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came in for next summer, because he is that good a defender. And then you know how people down south like to try and steal defenders from us on the cheap. But I think it'll cost a good bit of money to try and get Cameron Carter-Vickers away from Celtic. Brendan Rodgers, with international duty over, Brendan Rodgers has got a pretty much big shout today. He's got a massive shout on the team that he picks. But will Dyson be dropped to the bench? That's an interesting one. He suffered an injury, remember, just before the international break, hence the reason that Dyson Maeda didn't go to play with Japan. Was that purely precautionary? Was it purely precautionary? Or will we have our team wrong? And Dyson Maeda won't even play today? We don't know. It seemed to be okay in training the other day. There's never anything about it. Brendan wasn't really asked about it either. So we'll see what happens today. But he is in my team, so I think he will go. Obviously, the team predicted, as you can see below, Tynecastle was a hard venue, but Brendan Rodgers, the Invincibles time, I'm sure it was a 4-0 hammering. 4-0 hammering that day. Will it be a game like that? Joe Hart, obviously the goalkeeper for today. A lot of speculation about him yesterday. Speculation about that Celtic are going to open talks with Joe Hart. And that just in the same week that Andre Lunin had been linked with chance to come to Celtic. Well, will Celtic go for him? Will he come to Celtic? Let's face it. I mean, is he going to go from being on the bench for Real Madrid to then come and playing in Scotland? It's going to be one of the hardest things to try and get a really good top-class keeper to come to Scotland, in my opinion. Alistair Johnson, Canadian right back, he's ahead of Tony Ralston all day long just now, unfortunately for Tony. But he relishes fixtures. He absolutely loves it. Cameron Carter-Vickers at the back as well. Huge boost for Celtic, especially going into this run of games, because let's face it, we do have Atletico Madrid midweek. Liam Scales has been the surprise, as Brendan Rodgers says. He's been the complete surprise of the season. He's earned Brendan Rodgers' trust. He's got a call up to the Ireland squad. And it's his to lose. It is his shirt to lose, because Rocky and Gustav Lagerbielke were both brought in at a cost of just over £7 million. There is absolutely no way that those guys are going to be happy sitting about on the bench. But with a strong squad like Celtic, it could be the fact that maybe, just maybe, they will get some game time in the Scottish Cup that's coming up. And maybe some game time this second half of the season. You never know. Left back is obviously going to be Greg Taylor. Now, whether you like Greg Taylor or not, he is one of the most improved players over the last couple of seasons. The last 3 seasons, he's completely changed his way as a player. And the fact that we can't get anyone in better, and we brought in Bernabe, and we can't get anyone that is better than Greg Taylor, has to say something else. It's taps half weather in Scotland, says Craig. I'll come back to the comments in a minute, and we'll also get back to the team. So that's Greg Taylor. It's quite something that we can't get someone better than Greg Taylor. Obviously, in the midfield, we're going to have Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor, you're never dropping your captain, no matter what people say about him. He's a fantastic player. He's a leader on the pitch. He has more experience than I think there's only one person in the squad that has more experience than him, and that's Joe Hart. And that says it all about Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor in a few years is going to be talked about in the same breath as Paul McStay and Billy McNeil. Due to the fact that he's going to be a one-club man, he's going to be the captain. Will Callum McGregor then go on to be Celtic manager in the future? There'll be a lot of speculation about Scott Brown maybe coming back at his time, but will Callum McGregor in years to come, years and years down the line, because let's face it, Billy McNeil was Celtic's captain, but then one Celtic captain that was never, ever Celtic manager, and that's Paul McStay. Paul McStay went off to live down under in Australia, who's had a nice happy life, and but he will be, Callum McGregor will be up there at that level of being a one-club man. And when you think about the trophies and the medals that Callum McGregor has won, rightly so should he be up there with the respect of his peers. And I say that, I don't say that lightly. I mean, Callum McGregor, when it comes to the end of his career, he's going to achieve an awful lot at Celtic. And you've got to remember, Paul McStay was a fantastic player, but never reached the heights when it comes to titles and that, because you had a strong Aberdeen at the time, you had a strong Dundee United playing in Europe. I mean, Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen side were taking Europe by storm at that time, and so also was Dundee United. Rangers were pretty much nothing back in those days, but Paul McStay had to play second fiddle, but it was a one-man captain, one-man team. Rio Hatate in midfield, also the Japanese player, has had a bit of dip of form at the start of the season, but he's had a couple of goals, and I think that's got him back on track. Matt O'Reilly, what can you say about Matt O'Reilly in the midfield? Not a lot, because Matt O'Reilly, he's been Premiership Player of the Month. Matt O'Reilly's took his game to another level. He's excelling under Brendan Rodgers, and I think he will only get better. Seeing him and Palma making runs into the box today could be absolutely frightening for Hearts fans, and it could be absolutely ecstatic to watch for Celtic fans this afternoon. All right. With Luis Palma, what can you say about Luis Palma? Little Louis, that's some song that. I'm not even going to say it. On paper, Tynecastle is one of the hardest games, right? But Luis Palma, Dyson Maida, and Kyogo up front, that would bring fear into anyone. The Honduran has had to wait patiently for game time. He's demonstrated his eye for goal, and let's face it, he is a dead ball specialist. When you look at the wins over Motherwell and Kilmarnock, he's a real threat coming into the wide, and he's keeping Yang out of the team. Although Yang does have that little bit more physical presence than Luis Palma, Luis Palma's got an eye for goal, and that's one of the reasons that he gets the nod today, along with Dyson Maida, if he is 100% fit. But I think he was just kept out of the international games purely as a precaution. Maida is a flying machine. Dyson Maida just runs and runs and runs. He epitomizes the Duracell bunny, does Dyson Maida. And then you've got little Kyogo up front. Kyogo bagged his fifth international goal for Japan, and after being handed a rare start for his country, hasn't been so prolific this season. But you know, when Kyogo gets into his stride, he's going to hit a goal scoring form, and that's it. So that's your team. That team has goals galore in it. Goals galore. That should have been the headline of this video. Hopefully we're saying goals galore and after the game today. Let's jump back to some of the comments and see what you think the score lines will be. Ali George says, hail, hail. Morning Baz from South East London. Big Doms in South East London. It's 4 p.m. Down under. Hearts will be broken. 3 points today and a good win, says Mark. Morning Baz from Soko. It's 5-0. You're going for a 5-0, Sarah. Oof, that's a big one. Hope Palma scores for a free kick. I think if Palma scores for a free kick, it'll be absolutely fantastic. And it's coffee time. Jim, the sun's out. It's Baltic. Maryhill is lovely and sunny. It's sunny in Scotland, but cold today. Well, we must have your cloud today, because we've actually got cloud for the first time in a long time. Anyway, Catherine Rebel says, hail, hail. I'm Sohid Ali. Sohid. How much would it cost to replace Cameron Carter-Vickers, says Martin. That's a good shout. How much would it cost to replace Cameron Carter-Vickers? Well, we've got two defenders at Celtic just now that were brought in at a total cost of 7 million. I don't think any of those players are ready or at the standard that Cameron Carter-Vickers. Rocky is the one player that you thought was going to come in and partner Cameron Carter-Vickers. Could he replace him? I don't. Well, I'm not sure because we've not seen enough of him. On paper, he probably could when you look at his stats, but we need to get him in a Celtic shirt. Maybe Celtic's thinking, I mean, I have said this before, maybe Celtic's thinking is the fact that they've brought these players in, they've brought Rocky in and Gustav, and they aren't necessarily for this season. They were maybe brought in to replace Carl Starfelt at the end of last season, but Celtic, and I did say this, and this is probably going to annoy a lot of people, I think the Celtic board realised that in 2 seasons' time we might not get into the Champions League. So they're making as much good use of their money just now and buying in players that say, right, they might be a good player in a couple of years' time. There is a player that was at Celtic when he first came to Celtic. He was injury prone. He's not at Celtic just now, but Big Lustig. Big Lustig got nothing but stick when he joined Celtic. So I'm saying this because we've got two players that are in defence just now that aren't getting a lot of game time. Lustig, when he first came into Celtic, did not get a lot of game time. Ajax fans used to say that he was weak. He wasn't good enough. But then you look at the career and you look at the closeness that Brownie and Lustig had together at his time at Celtic. Lustig went on to be a fantastic player that was undroppable. And then one of the best moments, obviously, is when he dons the policeman's cap and when he scored against the Sevco. So are these players good enough just now? Maybe not, but in a couple of years' time, it could be the fact that Celtic are actually thinking that far ahead, and they've maybe got these players in, especially Rocky. I think they might have got Rocky in with the view to maybe in the future replacing Cameron Carter-Vickers. What would it cost? I still wouldn't be able to say that because if you're going to try and replace like for like, you're on the verge of £10 million player, £6 to £8 million player anyway. Cameron Carter-Vickers is going to go for 10 to 15 million if he's sold by Celtic. So that's a kind of roundabout answer, Martin. It wasn't direct. Nobody knows what it's going to cost to replace him, but I think the way that Celtic are working at the moment, I think that's the planning behind it. Jim Dolan says, Robert, I was walking the dog. Will Wee Johnson get a crack, says the man from down under in Australia. Will Mikey Johnson get a crack this afternoon? I think he might make the bench, but then who do you drop? Who does he fit in? I think there's more chance of making the bench for the Madrid game. Something just tells me that. Maida's fit to start today. Hill says GTB boy 67. Craig Young taps off weather in Scotland. It's everyone says it's cold. It's cold, of course it's cold. It's October, it's the end of October, and the clock's changed. Next week, is it? Yeah. Morning, boys and girls. Nick Walsh is the referee, and Dallas is in VAR. I was going to talk about that. Right away, they have an advantage. They do have an advantage having these two. Well, the thing is Dallas, I don't know if it's been spoken about in Scotland a lot, but Dallas is now kind of retired from refereeing, and he is in VAR full time. He's full time VAR, so that's an interesting one. This son of a right. East Kilbride John says 3-1 to the Hoops. Keep up the excellent work. Hail. Cheers for that. John, still fancy a win today, though. I think we'll definitely get a win today. Ali Jones talking about Callum McGregor. Wholeheartedly agreed. A legend on the way. I think you can just see it. There'll be no discussion about it when it happens. When he hangs up his boots. McGregor's a nice guy, manager, a bit like McStay. Too nice a guy to be a manager. That's an interesting one. There's every chance he might go into TV, but we don't know. Callum's still got a good few years left of him. But Martin, you're pretty much right with that. When it comes to likable people, Paul McStay and Callum McGregor fall into that. Celtic Fun says, hail troops. I think Palma has to start. James Dillon, he definitely has to start. I think that I'm taking Palma to score today. If I was a betting man, I'd be putting a bet on Palma to score. So tell me what you think of that, James. Almost always win at Tynecastle. Well, although we almost always win, we've only won 11 out of the last 15. So yeah, we always win. We always win. Carmack is the most pivotal player in the team, best player in the team by a mile, says Richard. Is it a 12 kickoff? No, I think it's later than 12. Let me just double check. It's 2:15 Celtic Park time kickoff. 3:15 for me. 2:15 Celtic Park time kickoff. Let's get back to some of the comments. 3-1, the good guys, 2-0, easy. Sarah says, aye, 12-15, 2:15 kickoff. Jumping up there. 100% agree with the team. 3-1 to Celtic. It'll be interesting to see the subs today. I think that's where it's going to get really, really interesting for Celtic and for the team just now, is to see exactly what subs Brendan Rodgers puts on the bench. That'll let you know the thinking behind what's going to happen in the midweek game also. So that'll give us a little heads up to what's going to happen midweek in the Champions League. More money than we spend. 3-0 to us, says Ali Jones. Anything other than 3 points today, Sevco will believe they're in a title race. Not a chance. Not a chance. 3-0, the women team. 3-0, a double for the women team and ours. Hibs were terrible yesterday. Made them look like they were. Yeah. I never actually checked the result for their result until this morning. Baz, can you like my channel? Just started Celtic Fun. Well, there you've just got a comment there. So there you've just got a mention. So there you go. There's a mention. Celtic Fun channel. I'm going to put it up there. I think it's 15 million for Cameron Carter-Vickers minimum. Yep, definitely say I think it's 15 million. Also, all the players extending contracts. I think Brendan can improve them. That's the way that Brendan works. Brendan Rodgers did do that the first time round. Brendan Rodgers, the first time at Celtic, put a lot of players on improved contracts to make sure that we had a Korea team that was going to run to 9 in a row. And it is what it is, and it's the basis. It's not going to be the main team going forward. There will be players that will come and go, but the ones that he's putting on long-term contracts, you could see that being the nucleus of the team. 7 games in the next 21 days means plenty of player rotation ahead, says Big Dom. Johnny Briggs is rough as a Badgers this morning. A lot of people going about the time. Celtic World says 9:15 p.m. where he is. At this, Jesus, that's a late one. You're down under as well, I think, aren't you? Celtic World. Palma, Kyogo, and Hatate. Yep, all to score. I think that's one of the interesting things. I mean, when we look at the team, Joe Hart, undroppable. Johnson, Carter, Vickers, Scales, Taylor, undroppable. Bernaby's not good enough. Bernaby's bound to be thinking what he's going to be doing at Celtic over the next couple of years. McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, you're not dropping any of them. And then the front three, they pick themselves also. Maida, Palma, and Kyogo. Palma's the player to watch today. He's definitely going to be the one to watch. That's a 9:15 kickoff. And then up there are the wee Huns. Celtic Fun Bulgin. Yep, total Bulgin. Shout out for my channel. Total bold as anything. Anyway, we've been on for 23 minutes. There's not a lot more Celtic news kicking about this one. There's no crazy headlines kicking about. It is all about making sure that we can win 3 points today. Brendan Rodgers has been talking a little bit about the game next week, but you know what it's like. They want to basically just make sure that sources major update on Celtic. Wait a minute, because major update on Celtic signing Real Madrid star Lunin. Celtic are unlikely to be able to bring the Real Madrid goalkeeper Andre Lunin to the club. His football insider Lunin has been widely linked with a potential move to Celtic Park, where Joe Hart is currently number 1. Then goes on. However, it is believed the Ukrainian international would prefer to move to the Premier League if he is to leave Real Madrid. Lunin, 24, is out of contract, and the Bernabeu in 2024. He's turned down twice. Considered one sheet The shortstopper has been back up to the Spanish Giants since joining them. 28 appearances, 20 goals, keeping 5 clean sheets. Had a couple of loan spells. He's been capped by the Ukraine. And his most recent appearance coming up against Scotland 13 months ago. Heart. That's a nothing story. I didn't think we'd be able to get him, but Hart remains the first choice. But it says the guy, there's rumours going around now that he wants to go to England. It's always going to be the case when you've got a keeper of any kind of stature. It's going to be hard. I did say that. It's going to be hard to try and bring any type of goalkeeper that's got any kind of ambitions to Celtic. Unless we can offer them the guarantee of Champions League football, and then putting it into their contract, if they get a 15 million bid or whatever it is, they get to go straight down to the English Premier League. So that's coming out from Football Insider this morning. Major update on the Celtic signing of Real Madrid star Lunin. Celtic are unlikely to be able to bring the Real Madrid goalkeeper Andre Lunin to the club because he wants to go to play in England. Well, there's no shock in that news, really, is there? There's no shock. There's no shock. I said yesterday that Hans had more Cummins and the Messiah. You on after the game today, Baz? Yes, I'll put it up. I'm not sure what time, Tam. I'll decide because I'm going to do a video down at the pub after the game. I wonder if I can just go live from the pub. If I don't go live from the pub, it'll be like half an hour after the game ish. But I'll put a rough time up on the community tab, and there'll be a game that will go up because I'm going to interview some of the guys down in the pub today. Hearts are due going over, says Mark. The EPL is all about money these days, James. It is all about money, unfortunately. And it's when Celtic are up against it, when Celtic are trying to go out and get a really good player. Even when Celtic managed to get some good players in on the cheap and we kind of make them a bit better, they're all just going to jump ship. They're all going to jump ship as fast as they can and head south, like our manager did it last season. Our current managers did it 4 years ago. So it is what it is. But in Brendan we trust, we're building something that is all about dominating. Let's face facts. It's all about dominating Scottish football. And that other mob across the road, they have brought in a third manager in, what is that, just over a year? Because Beale was only in the job 10 months or something, wasn't it? It's all about just making sure that we dominate Scottish football and get into the Champions League as many times as we can. I did say that when we're talking about what would it cost to replace Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think, Mark, yes, I do. There's something about this story that I think Hart will sign for another year because Celtic are kind of struggling to get the top keeper that they're wanting. So that's your question on that. But going back to the Cameron Carter-Vickers, what would it cost to replace him? I think that the way that Celtic are thinking now, they're now actually, Ange Postecoglou, the one thing that he did do good for Celtic is he got the board into this mindset of planning for 2-3 windows down the line. And I think Celtic are doing that. They're thinking, look, we've got Rocky in, we've got Gustav in, we've got these players that could potentially take over from Cameron Carter-Vickers. And, you know, Cameron Carter-Vickers won't stay at Celtic forever. If he's offered the right club back down south, if he's offered the 15 million, Celtic will take it. Celtic will take it all day long. I mean, it cost 6 million. If we're going to more than double our money, I don't know if the irony in that, if Spurs have got a sell-on clause of some sort, I'm not too sure if Spurs actually had a sell-on clause because obviously we bought them with the option to buy. The loan deal was the option to buy. So, but I think that's the way Celtic are working now. I think they are planning ahead. Rocky could be the man that's going to be there, sitting in the wings, waiting on Cameron Carter-Vickers being sold, if not next summer, the summer after. I think we're only going to have Cameron Carter-Vickers for 2 more seasons maximum. And it could be the case that although we get automatic into the Champions League next season, if we win the league, the year after is the one that's going to be more difficult to try and get in, because if we have to qualify, we're going to have to make sure that we've got players that have been here for a long time and know the ropes and know how difficult it is to qualify. Maybe that's just the way Celtic are going to be playing it just now. They're going to be playing it. I mean, if you look at the likes of Marco Tillo, another one that's came into the club that Brendan Rodgers said that he's not going to push him to try and get up to pace to get into the first team. So then again, they're thinking down the line. It's like, well, we know that in a couple of years' time, this guy might be just as good as Luis Palma. Luis Palma is going to get a big move at some point in 2 or 3 years. So maybe Marco Tillo is going to be the player that's going to sit in the background. Remember Tom Rogic when he first came to the club also. You can go through history in Celtic and you can go through players like Lustig and Tom Rogic that came into the club and never really done anything for the first couple of seasons at the club. People were saying, why did we buy them? And then they go on to have fantastic careers. Maybe Marco Tilio and Rocky and things like that could be those type of players. Maybe that's the way that Celtic are now thinking about it. Right, we are on the half-hour mark. My time is done. Let's get some comments. I would love to try a 3-5-2 formation soon. So would I. Punted for a quid in 2011 says 20 million plus for Karen Carter Vickers. 20 million plus. Can't be honest. Christie was better than Turnbull. Christie was better than Turnbull, and Christie went out on loan also to Aberdeen, made him a better player. Maybe it should have been the fact that we should have put Turnbull out, but then we've had the COVID years and everything, so maybe a buyback clause, that would be interesting. Maybe a buyback clause. I was amazed to see a report about Christie being on 22 grand a week. We might be thinking about signing him. We're not going to re-sign him because I'm understood that he is entered into talks with his current club, and I don't think it'd be good to bring him back anyway. I think you need to move on sometimes as a player, and as a club, you need to think forward and not go back and try and bring players back that you had before. How many tickets did we get for Tynecastle? 576. So when you switch the telly on today, make sure that you look at that side behind the goals, and they'll show you the little band of Celtic fans that are there. And there is only 576 of them. That's down for 3,500, I think the whole stand was. So let's see how many empty seats there is there the day. People are saying it is sunny. It is sunny, so we'll see if they turn up. But I seen on Twitter yesterday that they were moaning that the people don't take their kids to that game because it's a toxic atmosphere. If you're ever at that game, as I have many, many times over the years, the toxicness comes from pretty much their own fans. 5-0, 5 goals today, says Mark Boyd. Christie's stats were really good. Yeah, they were. But McCarthy certainly needs to be moved on. Yes, exactly. McCarthy needs to be well moved on. Big shout out. The last shout out goes to Feed the Bear, who was the first commenter, first to comment this morning, and he made a fantastic donation of £10 to the channel. There will be a video right after the game today because I'm going to go down to Paddy's Point and I'm going to watch the game there. I'm going to get some of the old guys on, and I believe there's a subscriber or two for the channel going to be there today. So we'll get them on straight after the game is finished, and then we'll do a live later on tonight. Also. So on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, who are completely all around the world as we speak. Roll up to the party.